Well, for any of y'all that don't know me, I have a 32 Studebaker Rockney with a Corvette engine, a Camaro transmission and rear end, and I am in love with it. I'm also in love with this one, but this one is a whole different story with a whole different purpose. But let's talk about this Studebaker and where I'm at and what I've been doing. And if you've never seen my channel before, this is kind of what I do. I spend my days working on this car and working on that car, and sometimes working on boats and sometimes working on banjos. I mess around with vintage antique banjos. Now I'm going to go around to the other side and show you what I did yesterday on that door over there. So I'm doing this as a how to make this make sense kind of video. I'm looking at my camera and y'all look all cattywampus over there. Let me move you. Let me change the way you're sitting on that tripod, because that can't look right. Let's see. That. How'd y'all get so crooked? How'd y'all get so crooked? Okay, maybe that's okay. So I just put these new door panels on this one, and to do that I had to change the handles on it. And this car, and I'm going to do it just the way I've built it to be done. So let's just say I'm a passenger. I just climbed in this car and I want to close this door. Now the door isn't here right beside me like it would be on some cars. You're kind of sitting behind the door. So you have to reach out here and grab something to close this door. So the only thing to grab would be one of these door handles, and these door handles are 90 years old. This is a 32. And this is 24, so yeah, 90, more than 90 years old. So probably you don't want somebody grabbing the window crank and the door handle and using it to open and close the door. So for that reason, I went up to Harbor Freight. Well, first of all, I put a bolt. When I had this door panel off, I put a bolt in this door. And I can show you on the door that's over here where you're at how I mounted that bolt to the door. Let me just turn the camera around here, and hopefully you can see this bolt here. There's actually a hole in this door. This is where the door handle goes, and this is where the window crank goes, and there was already a hole in this door. So I put a large washer behind this. And if you roll the window up, you can get your hand up in here, and you put this here. When it comes down, this window won't interfere. This bolt won't interfere with that window. So I put a big washer on the back side, and I put a lock washer under the big washer so that when this bolt goes through, the lock washer holds that firm. And then I put a locking nut onto this, and that gives me something to attach a handle, an additional handle to. Now in the front, when I was making that additional handle for the front, I was thinking in terms of an armrest. But in this car, where I'm sitting literally so far in the back here, that an armrest would go here, not out there. But what I do need out here is a handle. So I went up to Harbor Freight and I bought a bunch of these wrenches, and I found one that was just about the right size to get a nut onto the end of it, and so it gives me a handle. So now I've got a handle to open and close that door, and that way I'm not putting a lot of strain on these handles. Now speaking of these handles, this is the door handle here. Now to open this door handle, it needs to come in this motion to come back, which actually makes sense, because if you're getting out of the car, you don't want to have to push this handle And if you're getting out of the car, you're going to come forward and pull on that handle, and that will help you get out. But then when you get back in, this handle gives you something to pull on to get back in. Now if this handle goes forward, that locks the door. So that door is locked now. And now it's unlocked. And now it's ready. Well, let's just close it. Let's just slam it. That's how that works. So that's how I set this up to work. Now, this handle has a little key that fits in the back of it. It's a lot easier to get that key in if this handle is facing down, because gravity will help you get the key down in the slot. So when you're going up, it's really hard to get that key in there. But if you went down, your natural inclination would be to grab the door handle and pull it this way, which would basically mean that you lock the door when you do that. So by having the door handle up, when you pull on it, you're opening the door. These are all the things that I had to think about in order to get to a place where this back seat was workable. Now the reason I want the back seat to be workable is because I use this car through our church sometimes to be in a parade, and we might have a couple riding in the back of the car, and very often it might be a couple where at least one of them has some difficulties maneuvering, walking and things like that. They're not healthy enough to walk in the parade, so they need a car to ride in, and they need to be able to get in and out of the car in spite of the fact that they've got some age and they might have some disabilities when it comes to being able to climb in and out of a car. So by doing this, I make it as easy as I can for the people that I use this car for largely. I do go to hot rod shows, I do all the stuff that hot rod people do, but I also do stuff through the church and use it like a parade vehicle. And so I'm thinking about those people that are going to be in the car that's going to need this sort of thing. So that's what I did yesterday. I actually made videos of that and lost the videos, and it's a long story I won't get into for here. But today, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting this type of material on that door and that door. And that material just arrived yesterday. So all this time I've been doing all this interior work in here, and I've been at the mercy of what I had to work with. But now I believe I've got enough, and I'm going to check and see in a minute to make sure that I can do the 2 door panels for that side. And to do that, I'm going to need to clean the table off over there because it's covered with things that I was using yesterday. Just like the floor of the car is covered with things that I was using yesterday. So the first thing I'll do this morning is clean everything up, set everything up, get my door panels in place on the table, lay them all out the way they need to be, get my glues and staple guns, and I actually use some carburetor cleaner to clean the glue off my staple gun and off the can, because if I don't do that, it'll glue the staple gun up where it won't work anymore. So I'm going to get busy doing that. I just want to thank you for coming here and visiting with me. And I do want to let you know that I have close to 20,000 videos. Very hard to figure out what you're looking at when you look at my channel, because there's just so much there. It's almost too much to take in. So I've created playlists, and if you look, you'll see a place where it says playlist, and if you hit that, you'll see a list of many playlists, and they will have to do with things like hot rods, building hot rods, working on hot rods, restoring antique things, restoring antique banjos, playing antique banjos, how to play banjo, home construction. I restored a house that was built in 1842 before I moved down here. There's a lot of things in my videos, and things like, you know, I had a snowplow Jeep in Maine that I had to bring back to life, and you know, it's just a lot of things that I've done down through the years that are there for you. If you've got the time to look through the playlist, you might find something of interest for you. That's enough said about that. Now I'm gonna clean up the shop, get everything ready, and then we'll make those door panels that I was talking to you about. Oh, the door. You know, it wouldn't hurt if there was another, you know, like I've got a Prius, and it's got a handle would be like up here. But it wouldn't hurt if you had a handle, because you're going to put one hand on this door. I suppose the other hand would go on the back of this seat. Let's move this seat back. Sit the seat where it would be. So this seat would normally sit about like this. So you would come up here, put a hand here, put a hand there. I guess that works pretty good. And that seat is strong enough to be able to do that. Okay.